Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a 2015, it's the Infiniti Q40, and we're just going to be doing some basic maintenance on this vehicle. We're going to be changing the oil and the filter, and then after we change the oil and filter, we're going to go inside and we're going to reset the maintenance required light on the dashboard. You know, the one that tells you you need an oil change, oil filter, a tire rotation. I'm going to show you how to reset that after I go ahead and put on the new oil and filter. So let me bring you up there. I'm going to show you what kind of tools you're going to need. Of course, we're going to wear our gloves when we do this job. You're going to need a suitable bucket to drain the oil into, and a couple of basic hand tools. So let's get up there and we'll talk about it. Okay, this is an example of what kind of tools we're going to need to do the job. One, we're going to have a wrench. It's a 14mm wrench. You can use either a wrench or you can use a ratchet with the socket on the end of it. The socket that I always use, I never use a 12-point socket, always use a 6-point socket, so you minimize the risk of stripping out the drain plug. If you're going to use a wrench such as this, you never use the box end. You never use the open end of the wrench. You only use the box end of it because the box end will fit a lot better. Now, as you can see, it is a 12-point box wrench here, but I never use these anyway, so we're just going to put this off to the side for now. What I always use is a ratchet with a socket, like I said, a 6-point socket. This extension is just so I can unscrew the plug without getting oil all over my hands, but I'll show you that in just a minute. Now, the oil filter, there's different ways of taking off the oil filter. You can use a cap like this. Now this, obviously, this is the new filter. This would be in the car. You put the cap over the top like this. You take your ratchet and you go in through the back right here like this, and then you remove the filter from the car. That's one style. Then you have another style that's like this, and this is my favorite right here. This piece goes over the top, and as you can see, it's spring loaded. It closes on the top of the filter, and now when you put your ratchet in here and you turn your ratchet to remove it, these teeth dig into the filter and it keeps from stripping it out. That's the second way of doing it, and this is my favorite way of using it because it minimizes any possibility of crushing the filter. The next way you can do it is the old conventional band wrench. You put the wrench on it and you'll actually take the filter and you'll turn the filter off like this with the wrench to remove it. I use this when there's a real tight spot, but in this case it's really not that bad. So all right, let me bring you up there and I'm going to show you how to get started. Okay, now looking at it underneath the vehicle, this is where your oil drain plug is located, right up inside there. I hope you can see okay. That's your oil drain plug right there. We're going to take that out and we're going to drain it through that opening and then down into a suitable container. That's the first thing. Next thing we're going to do is, now this is missing one bolt, somebody already left it out. We're going to take out that 10mm right there and we're going to pull this cover down so we can gain access to the oil filter, which is right up inside there. Alright, so first thing we're going to do, let's take that down so we can gain access to the filter. We're going to take out that little 10mm bolt there just so we can get to the oil filter. And then we just pull this back like that. And now the oil filter, I'll show you. That's the oil filter right up inside there. Sometimes you can take it out by hand. We can take it out by hand. But we're going to make sure we have a suitable container down below. And then we're going to take that filter off and we're going to let it drain. Now it's going to hit that cover right up underneath there, but I'll explain to you what we're going to do to clean that off later on. As you can see, there's a small little hole in that cover right down in here. All of the oil will start to drain out of that point right there. So let's take the filter off first and we're going to let it drain out. So we're going to let it drain a little bit, and I'm going to raise my bucket up in just a second here. Take our filter off. Now we are going to clean this all up, just so you know. take our filter out. And you want to make sure that that O-ring on top of the filter came out with the filter, which it did, so we don't have to worry about that. We're going to drop that in the bucket. We will clean this all up, like I said. Now we're going to take our new filter, and what we're going to do is we're going to put a clean bead of oil around on this O-ring right here before we put it back up into the car. All right. Now we're just going to grab a rag and we're going to clean off that oil filter housing where it's going to screw onto, just so you know. We're going to take our filter, put our filter in here, and we'll tighten it up as tight as we can by hand. You never want to use a wrench on this filter. Always tighten it up as tight as you can by hand only. And now we're just going to clean this off a little bit up underneath here before we do anything further. We'll get that filter area cleaned off. Now if you choose to, you can take this cover down. There's a couple of 10mm bolts inside here to take it down, but I'm just going to clean it up and we'll be done with it. Alright, now we are going to come back to that to clean it up sufficiently so there's nothing dripping on the ground. We're going to now take out that 10mm bolt, right up in, I'm sorry, that 14mm bolt. So we break it loose, and now what I do, I'll put the bucket up, of course, so we can get in there like that, and then I'll get in here with this ratchet like this, unscrew it like that, and then take that plug right out, just like that. All right, now we are going to let that drain out until it finishes running. So while that's draining, I just want to point this out to you. If that washer on there is in poor condition, you want to change it at this point. You don't have to unless it's in poor condition. All right, so now we're going to let this drain out a little bit. While this is draining out, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to clean it down with some brake cleaner or some carbon cleaner to clean that debris out of there. So let me do that, and when this finishes draining, then we'll come right back. Okay, so now while we're waiting for that oil to drain out, we're just going to put this cover back up here. Now we did clean it off really well, so we're in good condition now. We will wipe it down once. Okay, now that our oil has stopped draining out, we're going to put our drain plug back in. We're going to screw it in by hand only. And now that it's screwed in by hand, we're just going to snug it down with the ratchet. All right, and that's it. Now, I am going to come in here and just spray this down a little bit just to get the rest of the oil off, because the worst thing you can do is give a car back to an owner and have a drop or two of oil on the ground. It's definitely unprofessional. So, all right, let me clean this up. We'll bring it down and we'll wrap it up. Okay, now that we got the car back down on the ground, if you're not sure how much oil goes into it, check your owner's manual. I looked on the computer, and the computer tells me it's 5 1/8 quarts of oil with the filter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in there probably 4 1/2, 5 quarts of oil. Then I'm going to start it, let it run, check the level, and we can always add a little bit if we need to. Remember, it's always better to have to add a little bit than being too full over the stick, and then you have too much in there and you got to try to drain some out. Consult the book to see what oil weight goes in the vehicle and if it's a synthetic or a non-synthetic. This particular vehicle calls for 5W30. I looked it up on a computer to find out. So here we have our 5W30 that we're going to be putting into the vehicle. We want to make sure we use the correct weight for the what the manufacturer says. So, all right, let's get over. We're going to put in our 5 or 4 3/4 quarts, and then we're going to wrap it up, put the cap on, start it, and then we'll check it again. So let me show you where the oil is going to go. Okay, this is where your oil is going to go. Take your cap off. Now, as tempted as you are to try to pour the oil in that hole, don't do it. You're going to make a mess. Always use a funnel. Put your funnel over the top like that, and then we'll fill it up. And now after we have our oil in it, we take our funnel back out, put our cap back on, and then we're just going to start it up for just 1 minute, let it run. Okay, now after we started to let it run, we're just going to take our dipstick out. You wipe the dipstick down all the way. And now in normal range, you can see those two dots right there. That's the normal full range, that's low, that's full. So now we want to make sure that we're fairly close to the upper range right there. So let's check it and see. All right, and as you can see, we are going to need a ½ quart more. So it's better to put that ½ quart in than try to take a ½ quart out. And there we go. You can see it's right up to the full mark now. All right. Put the cap back on. Make sure it screws down straight. You don't want to put it on crooked. All right. Okay. So now our oil filter is on. Our oil drain plug is tight. Our oil is filled up to the correct levels. You're going to look underneath and make sure you have no leaks underneath whatsoever. And now we're going to go in the vehicle and we're going to reset that maintenance required life for the oil filter, for the oil itself. And I think it also has for tire rotation as well. So we're going to reset all of those presets inside there. So come on inside and we'll wrap this job up. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do now is we're going to get in the car. We're not going to start the vehicle. We're going to have our key fob in hand. We're going to come down over here to this button to start the vehicle. We're not going to step on the brake pedal. And by not stepping on the brake pedal, now the car won't start. So we're going to press this until everything on the dashboard comes alive. Everything is up. Then we're going to come over here. We're going to go to Information. Click on Information. We're going to come to this button here and scroll down till we get to Maintenance. We're going to hit Enter. Now we're going to check the oil filter. So we'll click Enter. The reminder light is on. So we're going to click down. We're going to click it off. And distance reset. And we'll go back to Information, Maintenance, Maintenance, Enter, Oil Filter, and we're going to enter it. And you can see the reminder is on. We're just going to click it. And now it's off. We're going to go back to Information, to Maintenance, Tires, Enter. We're going to click on it. One down, that's off. Back to Information, Maintenance. Okay. All right, now let me start it up. That's it. So everything is all set. We have no more reminder lights. Okay, so that's it. We're all set. As you can see, resetting the maintenance reminder light is fairly easy once you know which buttons to press. All right, as always, thanks for watching. See you guys on the next one.